My Minecraft world has a big problem. There are some essential farms every world needs to succeed, but right now my world has 0 automatic farms. So today I will build the best, most essential farms in my forever world. But most automatic farms look awful, so I'm making every single one look as good as possible. And let me tell you, I ended up overshooting the decorating by a lot, and finishing the farms ended up taking way longer than expected. So I won't waste any more time and start on the first farm. My biggest problem is that I'm always out of rockets. And to make those, you need gunpowder and sugarcane. A sugarcane farm is very easy to make and could fit anywhere, but a gunpowder farm needs a lot of space. I have this hill next to my house, and it's a pretty odd shape, but it's perfect for a creeper farm. For the build itself, I'm planning a huge tower, made out of spruce logs, planks, and polished deep slate. I have enough materials to build a blueprint now, but I'll need more for sure. I started out by flattening the hill, so I have a nice flat area to work with. Building the base layer will be the hardest part. I'm not copying any examples or tutorials here. And yeah, this might make it take way longer than it should, but that's the whole point. I want this tower to feel like something that's truly mine, and not something you've seen in tutorials. It took a lot of changing up details, but the base layer is now set. And as I started working on the third layer, and as I now also ran out of logs, I realized how big this project truly is going to be. I massively underestimated how much materials I actually need. And keep in mind I've already spent hours on this build, and I'm nowhere near done. While I was finishing up the 6th layer, I looked down and I realized how high this tower was actually becoming. Now I had to start thinking about how many more layers I need. Let's see. Hostile mobs spawn in a radius of 128 blocks around you. So that means I need to be at least 128 blocks higher than any other spawnable block. The tower is on a hill, so let's say we spawn proof until the bottom of the hill. That means until around Y level 80. Currently the tower goes up to Y level 172, so that means we need about 2 more layers before adding a place for me to AFK. And after a bit more building, the tower was done. But then... it was at this moment I knew. This creeper farm better destroy every single creeper in my world. I had to make the best creeper farm ever. But to build this creeper farm, I of course need some materials. Luckily for you, I won't bore you with most of the material gathering, as I already prepared most of the materials. I'm missing a few trapdoors and they cost a lot of wood, so I had to do even more wood gathering. And then the last thing I needed was a ton of deep slate. So I went back to the mine for what I hoped was my last time and gathered up a shulker box full of deep slate. Now I was finally ready to start building. The build itself isn't that complex. The only thing is that one layer almost cost 2 whole stacks of trapdoors, but they will all be worth it. And after finishing most of the farm, I now only had to do some spawn proofing and lay down the redstone. But right as I was about to start, a creeper snuck up on me and blew a hole in the wall. It was definitely repairable. No big deal. But little did I know, something much worse was happening. Lightning struck and set the whole tower on fire. The majority of the tower is wood, so if I noticed the fire a bit later, I might have lost all of my progress. After repairing the damage, the first thing I did was place down a lightning rod. I'm not taking any more chances. And after finishing the spawn proofing, the farm is now done. So I went AFK for a couple of minutes just to try it out. Nothing else could go wrong now, right? When I came back, I noticed I forgot to spawn proof one last thing. The top. There was only one creeper, so I killed that first, and there was no longer a threat. But then I heard this. Just as I thought nothing else could go wrong, my kill chamber is now broken. Oh well, I quickly repaired it and brushed it off. But when I checked the chest, it seems like the farm was working pretty well. And by the way, this is just temporary storage. I have an amazing idea for the storage system, but that's for later in the video. That is officially the first farm done. Up next is a sugarcane farm. Sugarcane, or rather paper, is the second thing you need to make rockets. These farms are very easy to make. But so was a creeper farm, and I still spent over 15 hours on that. The tower still had a lot of empty space, perfect for more farms, so the sugarcane farm shouldn't take as long to build. But the farms can just float above one another, so I'll split the tower up in multiple floors, and to get between the different floors, I'll use bubble elevators. They're quick and compact, and I'm making them out of glass because I'm sure it will look cool to zoom past all the farms. Before I knew it, all the layers were done. There are 2 empty layers, so there's space for 2 more farms here. As I said, the second layer will be for sugarcane. I want to build the best sugarcane farm I can, and I've tested out some stuff in creative, and trust me, it will look amazing. But in order to build it, I will need a lot of hoppers, and hoppers cost a lot of iron. And guess what I don't have a lot of? Iron. I could go mining and probably have enough, but that's a temporary solution. A better solution would be an iron farm. So on the third layer I'll try squeezing in an iron farm. Not sure if that will work, but I want to try. So I'll quickly collect up the materials and then start building. Never mind, I forgot about glass. Okay, now I can build. Well, building the farm itself isn't hard at all, but the hard part is that I need to put 3 villagers and a zombie inside. And in case you forgot, I'm in a huge tower up in the air. Luckily I have a solution. If you didn't know, traveling through the nether is way faster than through the overworld. So if I combine using minecarts and going through the nether, this shouldn't be too hard. So, I will need rails, minecarts and villagers. Luckily I have a villager hotel, so I'm sure I'll find some volunteers. But first let's connect it through the nether. Alright, now before I get the villagers in here, I have to quickly do 2 things to make sure the farm actually works. First, we need to prevent golems from spawning wherever they like. They should only spawn in the farm itself. Placing string everywhere is the easiest solution for this. And secondly, I need to have more storage for the farm. Now the farm is completely ready for the villagers, and I found my first volunteer. He's truly born for this job. And now the second and the third. Don't mind me just taking your child to school. He definitely won't be doing factory work for the rest of his life. And now I just need a zombie for the farm. And why not just let the zombie spawn in the right place? What? Well, luckily this isn't hardcore. Alright, it worked, but that's not how I intended it. Now that the zombie is in place, the only thing left is to wait for the villagers to grow up and get them out of their minecarts. The villagers need to sleep before they actually start spawning golems. But that's another farm complete. But we are nowhere near done. Remember, this was just something I needed in order to build more farms. Now it's time to build the biggest, best looking farm of this world yet. The massive, fully automatic sugarcane farm. To build it I will need, like I mentioned before, a lot of hoppers, some redstone, rails, observers, pistons, and some other things like building blocks and dirt. For hopefully the last time I'll do some manual iron farming, because the farm hasn't ran yet, but this isn't too much work because iron is everywhere. And I know this is completely unrelated, but can we just appreciate how good Minecraft's cave generation is nowadays? I mean, just look at this cave. I can definitely do something with this in the future. Anyways, the farm should produce the rest of the iron while I start building. So let's start building this sugarcane farm. Halfway through I quickly checked up on the iron farm, but for some reason it wasn't working yet. Apparently there is one villager that is refusing to sleep. I respect the grinder mentality, but that's not what I need right now. Conveniently he walked into lava, so I can get a new villager. Anyways, let's finish this farm. These time lapses make it look like it only took 5 seconds to build, but every single build is taking me hours upon hours. But just like that, the sugarcane farm is in place, and it looks absolutely perfect. The iron golem farm is producing iron very well now. That means only a few additions remain for this tower. However, there is still one more farm I absolutely need, but I'll get to that after finishing up the tower. First, I still need an elevator to the top. Second, the lighting needed fixing, as the dark ceiling looks horrible. Now the final thing I need to sort out is the storage. I left these chests exposed, because it was just a temporary fix. Now it's time for the permanent solution. So my idea is to bring all of the resources produced in this tower, except iron, into the basement via pipes. But for that I will need a lot of glass. And also lime dye, which requires green dye, which requires cactus, and I don't have any. I haven't even found a desert yet, but that shouldn't be too hard, right? Well, I flew so far that my game literally gave up. And I don't even know where I ended up. But I eventually found one. But wanna know the worst part? Lime dye can also be made by smelting sea pickles, which I already had close to my base. So I did all of this for nothing. Oh well, back to building. And it's done. Just look at it. It's beautiful, isn't it? But I still have to do the piping for the creeper farm. So let me just do that real quick. Now the difficult part is done. The basement will become a massive storage room. But I first need to dig out this whole area. And that needs tools. But mine are getting low on durability by now. Manually farming XP to mend them will take ages. So I'm delaying the basement project and I'm building an Enderman farm first. Enderman farms are extremely easy to build and are one of the fastest XP farms. Except I'm of course gonna make it harder for myself and make it look amazing. I quickly stole my local end city and deforested a cherry blossom so I can now start to build. This isn't a conventional farm like you'd build in the overworld. You have to build it above the void far away from the end island. So I can get really creative with this farm. The first step is to build a walkway. It needs to be spawn proof while also looking good. It costs a lot of materials and I will probably just fly across with my elytra every time, but who cares, it looks cool. Now I want to build 3 areas. First I want an enchantment table, because I will get tons of XP. Second I want a storage area just so I can store ender pearls and enchantment books. And finally, the Enderman farm itself. Let's quickly build this thing. The hardest part was getting an endermite in place, but for the rest it was very simple. And just like that, the farm is done. Is what I was hoping to say now. But no, there's a big issue with the farm right now. Enderman can teleport. And I thought that spawn proofing, basically putting string everywhere, would be enough to stop them from teleporting. However, this isn't the case. I didn't understand how the teleporting mechanics worked at all. I quickly looked it up, and apparently the only things they cannot teleport on are 2 layers of carpets, or a string and a carpet works as well, and water. But using either of these would ruin the whole aesthetic of the farm. But after even more research and thinking, I found my solution. Waterlogged blocks count as water, so they cannot teleport onto those. So I just had to replace the whole entire floor with slabs and stairs and waterlog them. And for the top of the killing chamber, I just had to use carpets. There was no other way around it. But I turned this issue into a feature and made the farm look even better. And after a lot of issues, I could finally repair all of my tools and get more XP than I'll ever need. And with my tools finally repaired, I could finally finish up the tower. I could now empty out the whole basement and finally have the storage I needed. And after finishing the storage, all there was left to do was add the finishing touches. I built a walkway, paved the terrace, and added the final details. And then it was all done. The Enderman farm, the storage system, the sugarcane farm, iron farm, everything was done. The tower looks amazing, but most importantly, my world now finally has the farms that will need to thrive. These farms open up a whole new chapter inside of my world.